And we are live, guys. Welcome, girls of high value, to another live stream from Oslo, Norway. My name is Joseph Darling. What we're going to talk about today is what will make you truly happy. You can divide your happiness into short-term happiness and then long-term happiness. Which one would you like? Because in some ways, you can choose. The short-term happiness then is just basically to do whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like, and basically you should just do what feels right at the moment and don't care about what the long-term consequences will be. Just go out and do it. Now, doing that process obviously will not guarantee your long-term happiness. In fact, it might guarantee your long-term dissatisfaction with life and your long-term misery and depression and involvement with stimulants and drugs and alcohol and all those other things that come from only focusing on short-term happiness. Unfortunately, that's the society we live in today, so it's important that you understand what is it that is going to create long-term happiness. Because if you focus on long-term happiness, like you might be a little bit unhappy in the beginning because it's lonely to think about the long term. No one else is doing it. But that loneliness, I can promise you, if you keep focusing on long-term happiness, that loneliness will disappear within a very, very short period of time, because you will be different than any other girl out there. If you understand what makes people truly long-term happy and you focus on those activities until it's habitual within you, and you keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it, focusing on the long term, I can promise you that the short term will also make you happy. Okay, it's bound to make you happy because you are focusing on the long term, giving you hope, giving you an excitement for the future, and also starting to surround you with people who are optimistic as well about the future as well, and who are also happy, that don't need the stimulants in order to be happy. Very often the people who only focus on short-term happiness are those that cannot become happy without the need for stimulants. You don't want to be in that process. You don't want to need something in order for you to be happy. And if you should be needing anything, it should be to be around people and the right relationships, not stimulants. Does that make sense? Like, if you need stimulants in order to have fun, there's a problem with that. If you can manage to have fun without stimulants, now we're on to something. And that's what I want to talk about today. So how can you be truly happy? Like I always mention, there's two categories of life. There's a third one, but that one, in my opinion, very strong opinion, I would leave that over to the guys. Let's go through the three categories of life. You've got relationships, you've got health, and you've got finance. Now, the finance one is the one that I would recommend that you give over to your parents for now, if you have the ability to do so, and then to your trustworthy future husband for the future. Let's just cover that one point quickly, because naturally, inherently, women say money doesn't buy happiness. That's what they inherently say. And now as society is becoming more feminized and emasculated, that means that men are beginning to adopt that same philosophy. That's a huge problem for you and for everyone else. Do you understand that the only reason why there is free healthcare and free education and free whatever else is because someone at one point cared a lot about money. And they created solutions for the people and hired people for the people, but also to solve the problem. And that eventually created opportunity for more and more and more and more people. The fact that someone cared about wealth, someone was motivated to do something huge when it came to monetary things, made a lot of people happy. So, yes, money doesn't buy happiness, but at the same time, happiness doesn't buy groceries. Money doesn't buy happiness, but also happiness doesn't buy groceries. Money is critical, but it's men who need to think about that. If girls start thinking about it, they jeopardize their relationships and their health. Why? Because girls are amazing at being focused and obsessed about something. That's how women were designed to be. Men in some ways are also meant to do that as well. But when women are on a target and set some goals, they go for it like nobody else's business. And that's what's happening in the world today, that the more masculine women are becoming, the more they want the moolah. There's nothing wrong with wanting the moolah. It's just that you're going to sacrifice your relationships and your health in the process, because you get obsessed about it. That's what we want to change. We want to be able to give that monetary thing over to men so that they're motivated. Let me give you one example on this part. When I wanted to get married, I've been massively ambitious my entire life. Grew up as a kid knowing I wanted and would get rich. And then in my teenage years, I knew I wanted and knew that I wanted to get rich and would get rich in the future. So I now then come to age 21, 22, 23 looking for a wife. What am I looking for? I'm looking for someone who wants to take care of the family. Someone who wants to be a stay-at-home mother. Someone who wants a lot of kids. Someone who doesn't want to work. That fired me up outside my brain. Because if I knew that, then I knew that together we can create an empire. A wonderful, awesome family that produces motivation and joy and happiness in life. And at the same time, me being allowed to focus on building a massive business for us, for our family, for our empire, for the kids. And to be an example for the kids of what massive action and setting massive goals is about. And if women now focus on success and money, again, it's at the expense of a wonderful, happy family and your health. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. There are a few families out there that manage to become wealthy and then they have the time and money to basically pursue the other things. But the person you become in the process, if you are on that path, is that you end up becoming masculine and children become less and less important. Because you want more and more money. That's what you focused on. But if you can establish the habit of not focusing on money, but instead stretching the dollar and then allowing your parents and allowing your future husband to take care of the business and to take care of the monetary means and fire him up and create motivation and rewards for him to keep moving towards those goals. That's going to produce long-term happiness for you because that allows you to get rid of those commitments from the marketplace, get rid of those things that actually burden you and make you more masculine and competitive in the marketplace, and instead focus on the true things that make you happy, which is relationships and optimal health. Now let's move on to the next two subjects, relationships and optimal health. Let's talk about health for a second, because health is absolutely critical for you to be happy. If you're sick and if you are in pain And if you're unhealthy and if you have a bad self-image because you're obese or overweight or anything like that, it's going to have an effect on your happiness. Does that make sense? Happiness comes from abundance. When you know that there is an abundance, that's what produces happiness. Poverty does not produce happiness, right? You want abundance, but the thing is that how can you get it all? You want to have it all. That's why you need to send the guys to take care of the money, and then you focus on the two things, relationships and optimal health. In terms of your optimal health, though, what's interesting about this is that it's habitual. Okay, it's about producing the right habits when it comes to exercise and the right habits when it comes to eating. And those go hand in hand with people. If you can manage to create groups of people that make food together and that exercise together, and you can create a social aspect around it, it is way easier to then make it habitual. You can try and do it on your own, but that is going to be a burden and a discipline. Women need women. And that's why it's important that you create somewhat of a community of people who think the same way about relationships and optimal health. Another aspect of optimal health is simply being positive and optimistic. If you have abundance in your life, or if you're on the path to create abundance, you have hope, you have optimism, you have positivity. That positivity will reinforce positive health and optimal health in your life. It's automatic. It happens naturally. That's the most strong indicator of your health, is being optimistic and positive. But you're not responsible for that. But it's important that you understand that that's how you create it. That's how you create optimal health. Okay, so now I'm talking about you're not responsible for that. How does that work? Okay, well, let's move on to relationships. In terms of relationships, the way that it works is that you do good to others and they will do good to you. The law of reciprocity, the law of karma, if you want to call it that, where you do good to others, you serve others, they will serve you. And the more good you do to others, the more that they will serve you back. Okay? That should be your main focus in life, of doing good, of alleviating burdens, of basically seeing needs and then solving that need, but in a local manner. The global thing, let men take care of that. The local thing, where people actually need each other, that's the one that you should be thinking about and worrying about and doing something about. I mentioned about not being responsible. I'm jumping a little bit here, but in terms of not being responsible, the reason why I say that is because who you spend time with is critical. If someone offends you and you're a woman, you will care about that offensive remark, which will impede and restrict your happiness and take it away sometimes. It's difficult to be happy while you're being massively rejected all the time. Men are able to do that. They have no problems being rejected and staying happy once they've come to a point where they're emotionally stable. But women, however, it's very up and down. And that's why you're now responsible for your happiness. And this is why it's critical that you choose a husband in the future that keeps you in a bubble, that keeps you in an environment where you don't need to face rejection, where you don't need to face the unhappiness cycles up and down. You want to be at the high level of happiness, up there, not down there and up and up and up. And down and whatever. It's all about relationships. This is where happiness comes from. It's all about the relationships. But like I said before, if you're diversifying your life and your focus with, I need to have money in the future, I need to get a good job, I need to get a good education, I need to go to school, Homeschooling is necessary because the government requires it, and for you to, because you're entitled to education, and yes, of course you should get educated and learn and understand about life and the world, but not to get a job. Job stands for just over broke. It's a waste of time if the trustworthy man, is taking care of the dough. I understand if he's not taking care of it, but why would you live your life in fear? Wouldn't you rather prepare yourself to find that right, trustworthy husband in the future? He's definitely out there. I know he's out there. I was one. Okay? And there's plenty of more guys like me. They're called nice guys. But the thing is that they don't understand these things that I'm sharing with you. But I have a channel for them. I'm teaching them what they need to learn in order for them to become the trustworthy men that women deserve. So, gratitude. I'm going to just end this with gratitude. If you can be grateful. But gratitude is so difficult for women when they have such a lack. Men are responsible for creating gratitude in women. If everything is hunky-dory and wonderful, then women will be grateful. Don't you agree? Wouldn't you be massively grateful and feel happy inside if everything was taken care of and you only simply needed to have fun and play and laugh and dance and sing and just work on your talents? Exactly. So, really, in essence, what I'm trying to say is that in order to be truly happy, it has to do with your future sexual relationship. I'm talking to teenagers here, so it's not your current sexual relationships that are going to make you happy. They're going to put you in an exponential decline in happiness. But as a teenager, if you think about the future sexual relationship you're going to have with your trustworthy husband, motivating him, rewarding him for the efforts and helping him to create that lifestyle, to create that empire, not only will you love him, it will also create sexual gratification and fulfillment for you to be able to look up to someone who is doing who is providing and protecting for you and allowing you to stay in an environment where you can, instead of focusing on material things, you can focus on relationships and your optimal health and fitness. That's what life is about, guys. And if I can just repeat myself over and over and over again so that you can understand this principle. And look around. Please look around and observe the world. See what is going on. You will understand that it's all about relationships. The women who have sucky relationships are the ones that are most depressed. The ones that have beautiful, amazing relationships are the ones that are most happy. It just makes sense. And yet women keep searching for the monetary thing and competitivity and marketplace blah blah blah. It's not going to give you anything. I'm going to end with a story. 2 days ago, my wife was selling rollerblades and I had them in my house. So she's in America right now. I'm here in Norway. And she was selling rollerblades, and there was this lady who wanted to buy them. So she came over, brought her son, because the rollerblades were actually for her 10-year-old son. I've been in Norway for 25 years, okay? Except 3 years where I was outside the country. But for 22 years, is it? No, it's actually 25 years. Oh my gosh. 28 years with those 3 years. So for 25 years, I have never in my lifetime seen a more feminine, positive, excited woman in those 25 years. And she was happy, she was bubbly, she was laughing, she was excited about every single comment or remark I made. She had her 10-year-old son here who wanted to buy the rollerblades, so they bought the rollerblades, and she just kept on wanting to know more about me. It wasn't anything like that, she was 40 plus or something, but she was truly happy. And I know that she was truly happy with her relationship with her husband because of the way she was acting with other people. And in this case in point, it was with me. Just the fact that, Oh, wow. Are you moving to America? That's amazing. Oh, and you do this? That's great. And she was just like, I was in many ways baffled by her optimism, her enthusiasm, her happiness. And I can just tell you, those exist. Those women exist. You can be one of them. She was amazing. Okay? And she was 40 plus. Maybe she was 35. I'm not quite sure. But she had a 10-year-old kid, and it was the youngest of two kids. And she was happy. She was very much happy. And that's what I want for you, is to create that foundational core strong family that produces that kind of happiness for you in the future. You can have that, and that's what we're trying to create. This is the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I will see you again tomorrow.